guys, how's it going? It's Carter with Janko, and today I'm bringing you guys an in-depth rod review of the Dobyns 702 spinning. So the reason I want to do a review on this rod is because it was an absolute workhorse for me. I don't review products that I just bought or don't have a lot of experience with, and this rod is definitely not one of those. I put a lot of time in on this rod this year. It was the only rod that I brought with me when I was fishing as a co-angler in any event, and that's why I want to recommend this rod to you guys, especially you co-anglers out there. If you're looking for a spinning rod that you can just bring one spinning rod with you on each event, and this is going to cover a majority of the tactics that you're going to be doing. So I fish around a lot of grass, like in the Mississippi River, fishing the bank, just fishing the bank in general, unless you guys are fishing like co-angler events on offshore smallmouth or something like that. Usually you're only gonna want one spinning rod, at least in my opinion. This rod just covers so many different applications. Like I've said in previous videos, you're not gonna be able to cover every single technique perfectly with one rod, but this rod, you know, you're gonna have a couple that can come close to it where they can do 3 or 4 techniques very well, and that's what you want to have with the co-angler. You need to have rods that can do multiple things so you can switch bait and be super versatile as a co-angler. And a spinning rod is a big key because you're fishing behind fish that are not aggressive, fish that haven't been caught by that boater, and you're going to need to be utilizing this whole fairy wand right here quite a lot when you're in the back of the boat. Even when you're on a fishery like, let's say, Mississippi River, where you have grass and you assume, you know, a frog punching, flipping is gonna be the deal, a spinning rod can work in literally any situation, and I learned that this year for sure. So getting into the specs of this rod, starting off at the bottom, we got a split cork grip, and we have a drop shot hook keeper right there. Really good idea from Dobyns. When you're fishing a drop shot, you can clip your weight right onto that, and it's going to prevent that weight from swinging around, and it's going to keep your bait secure. Really good idea from Dobyns. You can do it with your other baits as well. And then coming up here to the reel seat, we've got a high quality reel seat, Fuji reel seat right there. Dobyns does not cut corners in any of their parts of their rods. You know, some companies will cut corners on reel seats, grips, hook keepers, the guides up here, and Dobyns does not do that, and that's why I love Dobyns and I run all their rods. And then coming up here to the guides, pretty much the market standard is that Fuji Alkanite guide for a rod in this price range. This rod comes out at $260, and this reel that I pair it with, the 2500 Stratic, comes out at the same price. So, you know, it's like, I would say it's mid-range. Like I said in the past videos, I believe that the Champion XP line of rods, they offer the most, Dobyns offers the most models in the Champion XP. I think it's the best value rod you're gonna get. They have so many different varieties of rods in that Champion line. I just think it's the perfect blend of price range, sensitivity, feel, and weight. It's a very light rod, very well balanced, and overall it's just perfect blend. That's why I own, I believe, like eight or 9 Champions. It's just a high quality rod, and you just can't beat it for the price point. And then right here, the most important part of the rod, which is the blank. This is a 7-foot rod. 7-foot rod is very key for co-anglers. So like I said, the situations that I was in this year, it's not going to be universal for everyone, but I believe a 7-foot spinning rod is an absolute essential as a co-angler. The reason is, a lot of you guys have these boaters who are taking you down these banks. You're close to the bank and you're just pitching at targets. Like I did that a lot this year. I was pitching a Nico rig or a wacky rig, a Ned rig, different types of finesse style baits, and I was just pitching them to targets behind the back of the boat. And having that 7-foot instead of a longer spinning rod, like something you would use on the Great Lakes, like a 7.3 or 7.4, that's gonna give you more control over the bait. It's gonna allow you to put it right where that bait needs to be, especially when they're moving fast down the bank. You only have one shot to make that perfect cast and maybe get that bite that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing. And that 7-foot is just gonna give you a lot more control over where you're casting it. I believe it's definitely very key that you have a 7-foot rod with you as a co-angler. And then we're coming up here to the blank. This is a parabolic rod. So if If you guys don't know what that means, it means you're gonna have flex all the way throughout the rod. As we can see here, literally at the base of the blank, and we're still seeing flex in the rod. A lot of you guys have probably heard that term before, or maybe you haven't, but what that means fishing wise, when you have flex all the way in the back of the blank, it's gonna allow you to play those fish a lot more. So when you have big smallmouth that are jumping and fighting and digging everywhere, this is gonna allow you to play those fish a lot more. And in my opinion, the hook to land ratio is gonna be so much better with a rod that is parabolic. And then the hook set, obviously with the spinning rod, the reason we're using a spinning rod, it's a light bait, it has a light wire hook. And if you're using a rod that is too heavy and does not have enough tip, you're going to either bend the hook out or rip the hook out of the fish's mouth. And some of my favorite baits to throw in this rod are probably drop shot and a Ned rig, I would say, are like the strong suit for this rod, along with a wacky rig and a Nico rig. And it really depends what hook you guys are using with this rod. So like I said, you're using a light wire hook with finesse techniques, and some of you guys might like to use like a EWG hook for your drop shot, like a 1/0 one. You might like to use a heavy wire hook for a Nico rig if you guys are fishing around like heavy cover, grass, whatnot. You guys might prefer that heavier wire hook. That is where you might want to upgrade from the 702 to the 703. I have both of those rods. Something I love throwing on that 703 is a light Carolina rig. And you know, you could throw it on either rod. It really just comes down to that hook size and that hook diameter. Obviously when you have that thicker hook, it's gonna be harder to get that penetration into the fish. That's why you guys use an insanely heavy rod when you're using a flipping bait, because that is a very thick diameter hook. And same with like frogging, you're gonna use a really heavy rod for that as well. And that's why you're also going to use this lighter 702 spinning rod for those light wire finesse baits. This rod covers so many different techniques for me. It's an essential as a co-angler. I always bring a spinning rod wherever I go. Made a mistake a couple times this year, and I'm not going to do it again. So I just wanted to help you guys out, give you guys a couple tips, and if you guys are interested in purchasing this rod, definitely check out the link below. And thank you guys for watching. I'm going to keep doing these Dobyns rod reviews until I'm through my entire collection, and then I'm going to start going on to some other stuff. Might start reviewing some little baits and stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. As you can see, camera quality is way better. Just got a new camera, so pretty pumped. Keep bringing you guys content. Uploads every Wednesday, and thank you for watching. That is another episode of The Tackle Box.